I am the vet manager for JobQuest. We are a relatively small RTO based in Newcastle and Sydney. We predominantly deal with disadvantaged and disengaged young people. So we work a lot in the school space, but we also have ACE and Smart and Silk contracts that we manage as well. We use Cloud Assess to assist us with our assessments. We were looking for a system to go from being a predominantly sort of paper-based or, from Google Classrooms. We wanted an improvement from Google Classrooms. And we wanted a system that for our learners that have a lot of usually digital literacy issues, we needed something fairly easy to use, but also something that was fairly easy to use for our staff as well. Across the board, digital literacy is still an issue. None of them come from IT tech experts. So we wanted something that was easy to use for both the trainers and the assessors. So we're using it at the moment predominantly just for our assessments. However, we do have a few programs that we have purchased from other training resource providers. So they have SCORM files and things like that. So we use those as well for more of our business programs, but for our foundation skills, we are just using it for assessments at this stage. Before using Cloud Assess, we were using Google Classroom. So prior to COVID, we were doing everything paper-based. So we tracked everything manually by paper. We sent and shipped boxes of files from Sydney up to Newcastle for quality checks. So it was a horrific amount of time. And, obviously it was also difficult to manage, things like trying to figure out where is this file? Has it gone? Oh, sorry, we accidentally put that in the wrong box. So there's got to be a better way. COVID hit, we have to digitize. So we moved to Google Classroom, which we're already on Google platform anyway. So I put in place the system to figure out how do we use Google Classrooms. We wrote some, procedures around embedding that into our work and our systems. And, at the end of it, we sort of did a review of Google Classrooms and we said, look, it's not really giving us the best outcomes that we're looking for. We want to do better. So from a continuous improvement, we said, okay, we really need to shift to an LMS system, but it has to be simple and it has to be easy. And really what we were looking for is something that looked like a piece of paper, but it was digital, because some of our learners are high needs and they can't deal with, flashing, moving slides and lots of audios and SCORM files. That is just not who our learners are. If they come to class, that is a win for us. So, we're at a very different level to a lot of other people. Having said that, that's just how we're using it. It definitely has the capabilities to have the SCORM files and all of those. So it was a really nice transition for us to go from paper to Google Classroom to then having a much more systematic LMS like Cloud Assess, where we could do better things like from quality checks, we could actually put in the percentages for all the trainers and assessors. I'm going to quality check this trainer. So it means that on an individual basis, we have that better freedom and better control over the outcomes that are then going to push back to our student management system. So for us, Cloud Assess has increased the quality of our processes. We're able to check that the right assessments are being issued to students. We're able to check, as I said, the quality, the levels for the quality checks. So that's sort of meeting one of the standards there, making sure that we're quality checking appropriately. It enables us to also have a better track of when we're changing our assessments. So we've got better version control. And so it's just really enabled us to streamline some of our processes. and give us better visibility about what is happening in the classroom. So that's probably been, one of the benefits for us is streamlining processes. The results and benefits that we've seen from using Cloud Assess are we have better visibility over assessments that are being marked. We have better ability to look at the quality of the assessments that are being completed, but also review the quality of the assessment decisions that are being made as well. So it helps us to identify and the stats, when you can break it down to have a look at the stats of the individual assessment questions, and it ranks, 50% of people are getting this question wrong. When it comes to post-assessment validation, kind of go, well, we need to address this question. So we're getting a lot of really good metrics. It's giving us a lot of metrics and directing us to, okay, well, we need to fix this. Whereas, you kind of would have an idea when it was on paper, you'd go, oh, that's looking a bit iffy. Or, in our post-assessment validation process, we'd have 6 people on and we go, hey, everybody look at this question. Everybody answered it the same way, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that we're actually in the process of reviewing our post-assessment validation now, because Cloud Assess does a lot of that work for us. So now that it's done that, we're kind of going, well, how do we then step up our own post-assessment validation process so that we don't have to include that? We can jump to the next piece, which literally says, right, Cloud Assess says this, what are we going to do about it? Rather than having to do that analysis by staff, that analysis of the percentage corrected questions is already done for you in Cloud Assess. And that is what has been really good for us, is we can see things. You can see the data, you can see what's coming back. And keeping a track of the revision of assessments, I think, has also been really, really good. You know exactly where you're at, and you can just, if you want to modify it, release it, and then you don't have to think about it again. And next time you go to enroll in an intake, it's there. So it allows you to either plan ahead, keep it there, keep it as an inactive, make changes as you need it, or you can do it immediately and then you don't have to think about it. So there's flexibility with how you can implement the new versions, which is great. Specific metrics that we like to see are the quality checks. We like to see the percentage of assessments that assessors are marking as satisfactory or not yet satisfactory. And on the next level down, as I said, is looking at, from a student perspective, how many questions they're getting right or wrong, or, is it that question needs to be redesigned? So for us, they're probably the most useful metrics at the moment. It is also, from a trainer's perspective, what is really good is at the intake view, you can see the matrix. So you can see at a class level the matrix of saying, okay, well, this student is up to here, this student is in progress. And it also facilitates, I guess, helping with planning a little bit, that you can kind of see what percentage of my students are where. So that's been useful for us, is having that matrix view, so that you can get a better handle and a grip of, how is everybody progressing through the course. And then, having some of those reports is also handy. If we had to stop using Cloud Assess, would be huge. It would be devastating. We've really embedded Cloud Assess into our processes, our procedures, into the daily life of the assessors. It's also helping us to meet some of our reporting requirements much better as well. But the more that we use it, the more we are starting to see the benefits. And I think it will only improve for the longer that we use it and the more that we understand the system. And obviously when you start the initial implementation and the rollout and you're like, oh my God, this is so much, but then you get it and you're like, okay, what is this feature? How can I use this now that I'm ready to take on the next step? So if our CEO had to say, hey, we're not using it anymore, I'm like, well, what are you replacing it with? What else out there is, similar to Cloud Assess that enables us to have a very easy user experience for the students as well as the trainers? So yeah, it's embedded in what we do now. There's quite a lot of investment happening at the moment with foundation skills and boosting the digital literacy as well as the language literacy and numeracy skills of people. And that's obviously a space where we work in. So there's forevermore going to be more reporting requirements. As much as the department says, oh, we try to streamline it, there's always more and more reporting requirements. And, it really does take a lot of time to get some of that information out. So the more that we have systems in place to facilitate with reporting, the better it is. And I think, things, like what's happened is we've gone back and asked requests for development, which I think is really great that we can say, hey, as a wish list item, we'd really like to have this because it's going to facilitate our reporting needs. And really that's what it comes down to, is just making sure that we can have the systems available so that the students can do what they need to do, the trainers can do what they need to do, and then the government can get the data that they need. So I think there will be some higher level changes. They've already happened at the student management systems level. And I'm probably expect that there'll be a need for certain other integrations between learning management systems and student management systems. So at JobQuest, we use JobReady. It's our student management system, and we've been using it for many moons now. We have the API integration with Cloud Assess so that our results, our overall outcomes can push over. And likewise, once we've got a student enrolled in JobReady, then the integration pushes over and enables us to quite easily create accounts. Or likewise, we can also turn that off such that for some of our school cohorts, they might start, but they're nowhere near ready to even looking at assessments. So, we can also have that ability to say, hey, we're going to turn it off for this group because we know they're not going to be starting assessments for another 6 weeks. So it gives us that flexibility to work with our SMS and the processes and procedures we've got involved there. So we have some flexibility with how we use Cloud Assess and how we can meet our operational needs. So one of the big things that we find a godsend, for lack of a better word, or just the support that we get from that little help desk icon, knowing that your support person is there and is just amazing. So we obviously try and help ourselves with the resource library and the help desk itself. Sometimes though you're going, it's this and this is in your mind are the words that you're looking for and it's not coming up, and then you're like, oh, well, you called it this. Okay, but I know that if I can't find it, probably because I'm using the wrong words, I can go to the help desk and I say, hey, I have a query about this, and automatically it says, oh, have you tried this link? And you go, let me check. And you're like, yes, that's what I was looking for. Or where you get down to sort of a little bit more of the intricacies that you say, okay, well, look, I've read this help desk, but it was a bit too generic and I need to know specifically about this. So the fact that there is someone there, 9 to 5 or whatever the business working hours are in the state that you are, that there's always someone there to support you if you need it is just amazing. And that has really, it's also taken off some of my workload because I'm not having to be on call for all our trainers across Sydney and Newcastle. it means we can say, use the help desk. They are there to support you. Ask them for questions. And if it's something that they say, hey, this is at a higher system level, then they can come back to us. So having that support is so critical. And especially also when we've picked up things in the back end and we're like, why isn't this working? And sometimes it's, something isn't ticked, or sometimes it's something we didn't tick. And there's more the technical things that, they're not necessarily in the help desk functions from a user perspective. So, but once again, just having someone there who's got that technical expertise is amazing. And I think if you were to take that away, I'd probably cry because that support is so critical to the operation for us day to day. If you're looking for something new for an LMS or a training or an assessment solution, it definitely works for those who are looking for something that is easy to use, not only for the students, but easy to use and navigate for trainers as well. I've worked across many other different platforms, and there's too much. So Cloud Assess has done a really great job to simplify what we need, to simplify the user experience and make it user-friendly. It has the capacity to, upload SCORM files, so you can introduce, more engaging learning or assessment design if you choose. Or like for us, where we have learners with sometimes very complex needs, it allows us to create something that looks like a piece of paper, but it's in a digital form. So definitely give Cloud Assess a look in. We found it really helpful with our businesses and our processes, and we'd recommend it.